Hello, Serge here for the Backyard Driving Range. We have an interesting question today. It comes to us from one of our friends who plays on the wrong side of the ball, as us righties call it. And I guess they call it us playing on the wrong side of the ball when they play left-handed. This comes to us from Gary Brad in Greensboro, North Carolina. Gary says, I switched from righty to lefty several years ago, as I am a natural left-hander who had always played right-handed due to a lack of left-handed clubs as a kid, loving the switch. And he's loving the switch. I appreciate on the dailies when you mention how some of the concepts translate for lefties. My question is this: based on your experience, are there specific tips for executing the PPGS that might be helpful for those of us playing from the left side? Thank you. Gary Brandt again from Greensboro, North Carolina. Great question, Gary. I'm going to start off by talking about a story I had one time. I was giving a golf lesson to a left-hander, and this was like the third or fourth lesson. All right, and this is way back years ago, and I had a very important call come from the president of the club or the golf chairman or something. So he didn't mind me being interrupted because he was very good friends with this guy. And so I ran back up into the golf shop, and at the time our golf shop was probably no more than 100 feet from the driving range, looking straight down on the tee. And I ran up in this clubhouse, and I'm standing there in the window looking out, and I had left my club there. And this gentleman, who was a left-hander, he's got his whole bag of lefties there, he picks up my right-handed club and he's making swings. And I'm looking at it and I'm saying, whoa, those are good-looking swings. Now I'm going to preface this by saying he was kind of like pretty close to couldn't chew gum and walk swinging at a left-handed. He just was disconnected, discombobulated, and had poor muscle tone, and I was having a heck of a time trying to get him to get into a good posture and make a good swing with some athleticism and everything else. And it was just right there. So the call took about 2 minutes. He was just calling me to tell me that he was going to be late for a golf committee meeting or whatever it was we had that afternoon. And so I just went straight into the locker room, got out a set of right-handed rental clubs, walked down the range and said, okay, let's just call him John. I said, okay, John, your career as a left-hander, it might be over today. I just brought these clubs down. I was watching you swing in my club, and I said, now I know my club is well trained, so that could make a difference, but let's try this set and see what happens. Well, it didn't take long for him to agree that even though he was a lefty, for some whatever reason, man, he had much better control than everyone else. And the beauty about it is that if he's truly left-handed, and he writes left-handed and everything else, that's a stronger, more dominant arm. It has more control, more everything in your, being the lead arm could be an asset for you. So anyways, he worked out. Now Gary went just the opposite. He started righty because he's correct. I mean, one of the reasons why we say a lot of times to people, golf equipment's going to be hard to find, especially good putters and good wedges for a lefty. So you might want to consider trying righty. And I mean, as we know, Phil Mickelson went the other way. He's a righty, and he went lefty. All right? So, just like Gary did. So, here's the key. You've heard me say this a whole lot of times. I'm going to say it again, because this makes this lesson really, and this daily really easy. Gary says, based on your experience, are these specific tips for executing the PPGS that might be helpful for those of us playing from the left side? I've said this many times. Say I'm giving a golf lesson to a student, a male student, who's a husband and a father, and I can't tell you how many times somewhere near the end of the lesson he's going to ask me one of two questions or both of them. Say we're hitting 7-irons a lot, he's going to say, Serge, I know we've hit a lot of 7-irons here, wedges and 7-irons. Does this work on the long irons? Is this and the driver? Is this the same swing, or is it set up and swing, or is there some changes? And I just say right out to the fact that I say, in this case, I'll say it to Gary. Gary, the ball doesn't know who's holding the club. All right? So the translation of that is, it's the same for everybody. Physics doesn't have anything to do with race or your ethnic background or your religion or your political party, or whether you're tall, short, fat, skinny, strong, weak, flexible, inflexible, male or female. It only has to agree with the fact that you are moving on this planet Earth, and you therefore are subject to the laws of physics and to the laws of your physiology / anatomy. Okay? And if you're a human being, we're all pretty much, barring any issues of special physical characteristics like over flexible or over bulky or whatever, or some liabilities like bad backs, bad necks, or we might have one leg shorter or one arm shorter, even then we can make setup adjustments. It's the same for everybody. All right. So again, if you ask me, then another question I usually ask is, well, would my wife swing, or my daughter, or my son, would they all set up and swing the same way? The ball doesn't know who's holding the club. All right. So that doesn't matter either, as I've already just went through this long litany of things of why it's the same. And last but not least, Gary, it doesn't care what side of the ball you stand on. All right. Naturally, we gotta, as a lefty, when I'm talking, and as I told in the past, I try to relate things as often as I can to, like I say, if alignment, it's righty has to be parallel left, the lefty has to be parallel right, or stuff like that. In translating this out to try to help you all out, predominantly everything I talk about, especially if I'm demonstrating, is from the right side, because I do that more efficiently and effectively because I am right-handed and I play right-handed. All right, but it's all the same. It's all the same. The ball doesn't know who's holding the club. It doesn't know what sex they are, and it doesn't know what side they're standing on the ball. It doesn't care. The laws of physics of gravity, acceleration, momentum, action, reaction, centrifugal force, all of those things is the same for everybody and everything, and as well as the fact that it's the same for no matter what sex we are and what side of the ball we stand on. All right? So, good question. But the ball doesn't care. That's why it's round. It works efficiently and does the same thing no matter what side we're on. All right? So, and all the laws for impact and everything else applies because we're basically hitting the ball with a flat bat because the club face is flat. So whatever I always talk about, intermittent up the tree, is the same for everybody. I'm talking about impact has to be the same, into the forward mid toe up has to be the same, finish has to be the same, where the body's facing the target. All those things have to be the same. All right, so you just have to translate it from righty to lefty and do what it says, because we're hitting a round ball and it doesn't matter where you stand on what side of the ball and who you are. All right, great question. It comes up now and then. I'm sure we'll see it again, and I'll give the same answer. Okay, because according to this, we are all created equal to hit that round ball, and to hit it straight, we have to play by the same rules, no matter what side of the ball we stand on it. And the rules I'm talking about are the laws of physics and your anatomy. USJ rules come in third behind those. Okay, that's it for the search for today, and I'll be talking with you all again soon.